Everybody, welcome to Toxic Hustle. My name is TrajicK Jeffrey. Today we're going to be talking about what's going on in crypto. We're going to talk about what's going on in the economy. We're also going to be going over the pivots that businesses are currently doing. We're going to explore some of that. So before we get started, let's go ahead and talk about Bitcoin. So the chart I have up here right now is from December, January of 2021 to 2022. Why am I showing you this? This is the cycle, 2021. So 2020 is halving cycle, the run-up of 2021. And in 2022, the subsequent drop of crypto. This has been consistent since I've been following Seasons of Bitcoin back in 2017, 2018 Bitcoin cycle. So nothing has really changed. So what I want you to see is 2021, we had a run up. We smacked our head up against the top of the top. And then you see we had we have a December dip. We have our January's dips. Then we fall off a cliff probably around April-ish, March, April-ish, and it just keeps falling down all the way through pretty much, I'll say right here, till June. So you'll just notice that after the halving cycle, after the run-up of 2021, you just have this fall off. Now, what does this mean? If you're in this cycle right now, 2024 was the halving cycle, 2025 is the run-up. This year, 2026, would mimic this. So, here is our cycle. Here is our run-up till we get to October, November. And really, we ran out of steam. Usually there's a run-up before this November dip. Literally up into but it had no steam. There's no energy. Why? Because of the market. Because of what's going on with companies. Of course, we're talking about some automation is happening. Some AI is happening, but not long term. People that were jumping on the AI bandwagon in 2024 have since started rehiring everybody in 2025/2026. We're still seeing layoffs, but that has nothing to do with AI. It has everything to do with how businesses do business, especially traditional businesses that aren't in a digital space, but still act in a traditional analog space. Why is this important? Because the same reason we see what's happening with crypto, where there was no real energy for this cycle, I wasn't even in it for the most part, right? We talked about it a little bit in the beginning of the cycle, 2024. We talked about it a little bit in 2025, but our focus has not been on that. It's been on what? Understanding how AI/automation is affecting business. Our research led us down to what is the practicality of AI in the business workspace. And while we're focusing on that, I paid no attention to crypto for the most part. And the same thing is pretty much going to happen again. I figure there's going to be a buy-in point right around June. And I will buy in at that point and then turn on the robots again. That'll be the Bitsgap robots. We'll get back into that probably around June. So why am I discussing that? I'm discussing this because we have to see when is going to be the opportunity for that to even happen. And meantime, between time, what are you doing? Because the job market is pretty much tapped out. There are hirings happening, but I've noticed, especially with the content, people talking over and over about the fact that they've put out resumes for 6 months, a year, 5 months, 8 months, however long. They've been putting it out and it's been into a vacuum, into the void. And we're seeing that not just with resumes, we're seeing that with marketing, where if you're just dealing with the social marketing or the social side of the business, we were testing that come November. We have finally got a broadcast system where we could begin broadcasting video-based material for our clients to help their branding. And while we could now scale up video, the problem is there's nobody. So you can't just have this video or content for content's sake scenario. So we've had to make some pivots in the business and in our clients. Because as I told y'all, the spring, I wanted to really focus on how do we onboard clientele? How do we offload work? And then what does that look like? So we can be really grind in on the training. And I'll get deeper into the business side of Toxic Hustle and what we've pivoted towards. But let's just look at what we see. We see a market, speculative, had no energy, revenue, because nobody's spending, because jobs are in the process of laying people off. They're having their exodus, where more and more people are being let go. And more jobs are being let go. Because during Rona, we had an oversaturation of jobs. Everybody was filming the fact that they were having these very cushy, barely doing any work, barely being productive. So much so they had plenty of time to do social media. Now you're seeing the reverse. Companies laying off because of social media, companies laying off because of productivity. And as AI begins to track productivity, and you've got people who are working remote, moving a mouse around, that's over with. So there is no energy in Bitcoin because jobs, fear. Same way as in 2021, we had come off of everybody getting checks through 2020. 2021, the checks began to stop around summertime, and then you started noticing right around September time it topped off because that was the last of the checks. And after the last of the checks, Bitcoin didn't run back up. Well, you had layoffs all the way through Christmas. Now you see it topped out around October was the top rather than September. It got an extra boost, but October was the top, and that's it. It just dropped off from there. Now, everybody's saying that we're going to see a run-up again. I don't subscribe to that. I don't. And the reason why I don't subscribe for a run-up, because as we're still having layoffs, we still have January dip. Now, usually it's the first week, but I always tell you within 3. Right? So we still have these January dips, and I told you, there's dips, as you saw, there's dips all the way till about June. So I'm not focused so much here. I want to have a buy-in point. Morgan Stanley is buying Bitcoin assets. Here's the proof. So Morgan Stanley is starting their Bitcoin trust. So they're going to be sticking their value on blockchain, and that's going to be an asset for them to take loans on top of. Same as silver and gold, as people are taking loans out on that. But again, that's paper. With all of this paper that pretty much can expire worthless, I'm looking at the employment situation. So we have payrolls that came out on January 9th, so last week. And then we have our payroll numbers, which we had up, quote unquote, 50,000 jobs across the entire nation. That's kind of crazy. Then let's look at what was the other side of that. How many layoffs did we have for December? Hold on. Okay, what we have is, so employment, they said there were 50,000 jobs, though there was 35,000 jobs cut so far in December, with 1.2 million layoffs throughout the entire year. So I really want that to sink in. Yes, we had 50,000 jobs, but total layoffs, 1 million jobs are off the table. Over 1 million jobs are off the table, which was 58% increase from 2024. So I say this to say, if you're looking at the market and you see what's happening in the market and people are afraid to spend because they are getting laid off and they're not spending, and you have a small amount that are getting jobs, and we have to figure out what industry that is because it might have been in other sectors. We won't know until the 13th, so we can see what's going on with the consumer price index as far as what our prices for the things that we're purchasing are, as to how layoffs are affecting people who are burning through what little cash flow they've had saved. Now, I talk about this on the consumer side because that is what crypto and investment companies and everybody on YouTube, who's these finance gurus on YouTube, are saying, oh, the market's going to come back. The market's going to come back. From where? For whom? And for what? What reason do we see? Oh, well, there's going to be a $2,000 check. One $2,000 check for a person whose living expenses are anywhere between $5,000 to $10,000 a month will do nothing. Especially if they have credit card debt. Especially if they have payday loan debt. Especially if they have buy now, pay later debt. I'm breaking this down because it's not just what's happening on the front side for consumers, but these quote unquote consumers are also entrepreneurs. You're business owners. You have businesses, you're an entrepreneur creating different entities, business entities, to be able to take over manufacturing or creating wealth for you. But as a business owner, we have to look at the spending that we would have spent as a consumer hasn't translated to we can't do the same thing with business. I have a business. I need to spend on my business, marketing, campaigns, all this other stuff. And you're watching companies, big marketing firms laying off people. You're watching companies who have marketing internal let go of their marketing. And while they think they can pivot with ChatGPT and OpenAI or Claude, they're realizing that it's not so simple. It's not an easy one for one. And as a media company, which we're launching our own services, we've launched our own media, and we're now in the act of promoting the small media. That's the reason why I have not been recording. I haven't been recording because, one, I was working on client work as we figured out the whole scaling up video situation. And then being able to say what is beneficial for clientele. How do we get our clients and ourselves visibility? And keep the costs down, because businesses can't spend just like consumers, regular people, you and me, can't spend. Businesses are going through the same thing. They don't have less of that problem. They have more of that problem, especially if their business is consumer forward. So if you have a restaurant, your business is consumer forward. Now, can you find a way to do business to business? Yeah. You can work with a company that can get you into a building, and in that building, you can potentially do some type of pop-up to earn. And if you're a business that caters to business, well, it's needing to be visible to other companies, other clientele. But how do you do that when every platform is charging you? They're charging you left and right. If you do not have content, or you're not in the content game, all of a sudden you're pretty much not seen, which is what I've been working on. So as I told y'all beginning of or end of last year, I said that for the beginning of this year, for spring, I needed to focus on how do I bring in clientele, because I need to bring in clients to be able to figure out what these businesses actually need, Or how do I consistently bring in clientele so that we can start solving problems? And then the work that I'm doing, I could then start training to offload that work. That's where the labs came in. And right here with Toxic Labs, that's where the labs is. And that's where the direction we're going in is, hey, we're going to start training, and we started building out that whole area for that. Now, for a business, you're either spending on a huge agency and you're having a problem getting the visibility you need because you're now in the same game as everybody else. If you've noticed, it's harder and harder on these platforms, especially on LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok. You're going to see numbers, like thousands of people talking about it's harder to get visibility to your content because it's not about how many followers you have. That's the game that's changed now. And people don't know it yet, or they know it, but they don't absorb it that their business is stuck in it. Which is, if you're not seen, it's not that your business is bad, but if your competition is more visible than you, then your competition will look more successful than you. Toxic Hustle is going through the same thing. Oh, you're a media company? Well, just because we can make a nice looking website, what does that mean? We were stopped at just, hey, we can design a website for you, and then we design the website. You still got to come up with the marketing. What we changed was, okay, we want to be that boutique shop for you that, hey, not only will we help you have a good looking design, but we want to take it a step further. Let's concentrate on doing all of the marketing for you, not just the small bits of marketing, but let's concentrate on your posts, which is where we started going into AEO, and really, which AEO is SEO. Answer engine optimization, the new quote unquote SEO is really, the new AEO is SEO. You're still writing content, you're still repurposing content, but you're doing it in a way where you're trying to get these AI engines to pick you up. But if you do not have a strong SEO product, then your AEO is not going to be helpful. Why? Because Claude, OpenAI, Perplexity, all these companies, search is the way that they're getting the data that you need immediately. And if they're using search engines, it means your content needs to be search first. So people need to get their message out. How do we start breaking down your message? Well, we start doing your landing pages. We then do your content. We then write your AEO content, the circular content that's answering questions that the engines can pick up on, so that you got your SEO, you've got your AEO, and then your social is we repurpose all of that content as teaser content for social media, so that you have your Twitter posts, you've got carousels in LinkedIn, you've got micro videos or small 15 to 30-second videos that just have a small messaging. Again, it's about small micro messaging coming out. Now that you can broadcast, it's what are you saying? How are you saying it? And we're doing the same thing. We're following our own, eating our own dog food, so to speak. And we're seeing our numbers begin to blow up. And a perfect example is our LinkedIn page, right? For the last month, when we talk about inconsistent posting, where what we've been focusing on is first testing to see if you're doing posts on a consistent basis, what does that look like, the metrics. And we saw, like we did for a couple weeks in December, we did our consistent posts. And you can see right here, right at the 23rd, that was right around the holiday season. We were working on our marketing strategy for our client. So we were not concentrating on posts. And you can see it troughed. And you can see when we posted. You can see when our posts start getting traction again, right? And if we go into our page posts, you see the 7th, the 6th, 6th, 5th, the 3rd. You see 27, 26, 27, 24, 23, 22, 22, 18. So even like just beginning to warm up. So as you saw, 19, 23, 22, right? You can see how we began warming up with content. And because we were warming up with content, then you see, plus it was a holiday, so things slowed down. But then right when we got back to January the 3rd, we began posting again. You can see it start picking up. But again, people they weren't online, and we're seeing the pickup now, but we've also not been consistent with our posts. So it's the same thing that we're telling you is the same thing that we've been dealing with ourselves. Now, the difference is what we're going to begin to show within the next week is the consistency of posts, because now we have an automation, not automation, but we've optimized the process of content creation. And I think that's the most important thing. We've optimized it, so not only can we now do it for ourselves, but how do we do it for clientele? And that's where, if you come here to our content engine, this is the work that, and again, this is why the content for us hasn't been consistent, has been my focus on getting to this point. How do we handle your digital marketing? And not just as an opinion, but how do we do it in fact? And we had to go through this entire process. These are the steps that we've been beginning to change. You don't need a social media person. You need an operating system. If you come through here, this is what we do. I've been focusing on how we get our messaging down. How do we begin? How do we have a content engine to turn one idea into multiple content? And then how do we distribute? How do we then broadcast? And that also means getting into the SEO, the answer engine optimization, or AI engine optimization, and the generative engine optimization, which is basically same. They want to split this up, but it's same. You're still dealing with some type of generative software giving you answers. And then your publishing cadence, being able to publish on a more consistent basis, as well as the automation side, which part of our business we've been talking about for a while, AI and automation services. What we've done as becoming a digital marketing agency is everything you see here, slowly but surely, is all the steps we were taking to build out what we can do. Can we build web pages faster? Why? Landing pages. Why? You need to take people off of social media and bring them someplace. Then, do you bring them to some place where you can get a lead? Are you doing that? Right? So, do you have content that can bring somebody in and get a lead in? And once you're getting that lead, what are you doing with it? Or is your business really set up properly? Like, for me, messaging has been, how do I get better at being able to tell your story, as well as my own? Because I need to talk my problems for you. Hey, are you having problems being able to get your message out on a more consistent basis? Well, here's a company, here's me. And in the future, more of my team, I do have one other person I can work with that they're doing something else right now. They're doing marketing for another company. But being able to then onboard more people to be able to take on more clientele. But what does it look like for you? How do I help you? My goal to helping is saying, hey, if you have a message, is your message targeting the right audience? Let us begin to look at what you're doing. Let us break down everything that you're doing and figure out how we can change things around. Because marketing has changed. And here's the thing with what we're doing. And I'll tell you, you're going to have to make more content. But if you need to make more content and you don't have time to make more content, and it's not just, oh, I want to put more content out. Is it on brand? Is it fulfilling the purpose of getting you leads? how do we create more lead-driven content based off of your messaging? Or is your messaging hitting home? Let's start critiquing that. Not because I think I know better than you. I have to do it for myself. Every week, I'm breaking it down into weekly sprints now. Every week, I'm looking at what is my messaging saying? Am I talking to the right people? Am I saying the right things? Hey, am I talking about the problem you have? Do you have a business? Is your business able to be seen? I've figured a way to be seen. If you're hearing this and you're seeing this, hello, how you doing? You put the content out. Now, the YouTube page is horrible because I don't do videos like that. I've been in research mode. I've been so focused on making sure I can deliver what I need to deliver, though tools are broken, right? Just focusing on building you a WordPress page, you can't scale that as a service. So I had to look at my business and readjust my business. Let's talk about Toxic Labs. A great way to build out pages faster, began using AI to build out the software, vibe coding this, but not so much vibe because I do come from the development world. So I do understand development. I do know agile. I do understand how to work in sprints. So I know use case and being able to create use case. I've come from the UI UX world because I'm a graphic designer, web designer for multiple years. Here's the problem. If there's something that you're building out, like I was building this out, but I need to charge for something, and then if you want to change the price because it's hard coded in and you didn't say, oh, I need this to be flexible so I can change, and then if something changes on the back end and it's expecting a specific price, that it breaks something else, now all of a sudden you can't trust what you have out there, the software. Hence, didn't push this. Why? I don't believe vibe coding is going to be the way that this works. Because if you have to keep rebuilding user login and have to worry about security, and you have to redo shopping experience, and you're building it on the fly every single time, and you're not using a library or whatever, you are stuck fixing a bunch of bugs that have been fixed in the by, you look at WordPress and you look at WooCommerce. If you come from that world, you don't have to really worry about login. It's built in. You don't have to worry about e-com. It's built in. Software right now is very loosey-goosey. And that does not bode well if you want to say, oh, this is something that I want users to log in and feel safe with. I didn't feel safe pushing this as far as then really just concentrating on the real problem, which is not what I can train people with right now. It's how do I help your business move right now? How do I get your message out right now? Because rather than just training people to try to do the work, it's, okay, what does the work look like? How do we do the work? What is the work? Especially in this changing environment, as more social is getting less visibility with oversaturation. And we're seeing the exodus of that now, but the change hasn't changed. And this is why what I'm doing with our content engine and our digital marketing agency is, look, let's get your landing pages out. Like, we're doing landing pages for real estate companies. We're doing it for construction companies and contractors, for media personalities. We're doing it for music. The next section we got to actually launch is our music department because we're working with acts and artists. But how do we help your brand? Are you focused on your brand in 2026? What has been the problem? Let us help. We are seeing success. What we're now doing is scaling up the success, and we'll have more proof, data proof for everything that we're doing. We're doing tests of all of our scenarios now. And what we've seen, again, is I've seen that micro content is which is the small 15 to 30-second videos. That's the carousels. That's still articles. That's blog posts that lead to articles that are on LinkedIn. Especially LinkedIn is a big repository. How do you get in front of people? Well, the same way you get in front of them in Twitter, which is the new newspaper. It's the same. And what we're doing is building a system that allows you to broadcast a message. But then what is your message, and how do we make sure that we're not just talking to talk? How do we talk to your customers who have pain and you have that solution? Then how do we drive that visibility? That is what our content engine is that we create the content based off your messaging, and we're able to diversify it enough that you have enough content for a month. And we're talking 30 to 90 days of walking content. That will begin to get you the visibility. And I tell everyone, and we're now walking it, and it's the truth. You have to understand that this is a 6-month run. Even we're working it on cold sites now. We're working on our own site, which has been cold. What do we have to do? Okay, here's all the things we have to do to rebuild our SEO brand, because we were not focusing on that. We were focused only on social. And what has had to happen? We've had to go back to SEO. And we've rebuilt all of our SEO stuff. We've begun rebuilding all our SEO stuff, because as I've posted, and while you also need to worry about if you are using WordPress, I did a post. You can see it on a Toxic Hustle site. WordPress plugin updates can wreck your SEO. And that is the truth. One of our plugins, Rank Math, destroyed our SEO because the plugin had to be updated, and then it didn't update properly, and all of our site maps got removed. And it was gone for like maybe a week or two until I noticed it. I'm like, hey, where's all our results? Because I'm trying to get the AEO results in. And I'm noticing our SEO is getting destroyed. Well, plugins have changed. Some things that were features before are now underneath paid, so you can't automatically get certain things that were running before. So I have to now go in and refix all of our SEO. But this has been a good lesson that even myself, who's in this business, who's been doing websites and SEO and all of that for years, we can just take it for granted that these pieces of software are doing their job, and they're not. That's why I'm telling everyone, let's do an audit. Let's audit your website. We'll do the messaging. You can get your content. We do templates to automate certain processes. We get you into a production workflow where you can get a 30-day publishing plan, right? So what you'll do is you'll contact us. We'll have a call. We'll break out what your bottleneck is and try to fix what's going on and what's wrong right now. Start building out the content strategy and the sprints for it, and then give you your plan. Or you can work with us directly, and we can go ahead and get ongoing production work month after month for you. This is for you if you already know that attention is expensive. You're either hiring somebody internally, and while yes, you can go to Fiverr, and while yes, you can go to Upwork, I'm telling you now, you're spending heavy. And this is not a team that's running and working for you. This is somebody that's out there working freelance. They're not looking at your business for ownership, to take over, to help you. If you have a real offer but the messaging isn't landing, if you do need to get more output and you can't just keep onboarding staff, or you just can't hire outside freelancers that aren't really caring about your brand and your message. And if you don't think that posting more should be the only strategy. Now that we have a system that we can post more, I've actually pulled back and saying now it's about the message. It's not about posting more. And yes, we do have to post more, But is it on brand? Is it driving leads? Is it driving sales? This is not for you. If you have a long approval process, this can't work. If it takes you 2 to 3 weeks to be able to give approval on a month's worth of content, and you want to be in the middle of the content where we can either A, handle the marketing and the brand for you and get it launched, or B, you can be in the middle of it and you don't have an approval process, or you don't have somebody that's there that can handle the approval, that can say yay or nay. So if you don't have a marketing director and you take too long to approve the process, this can't work. If you're looking for viral tricks, that's not what we're doing. We're here to build long-term content because we believe the social is because of the amount of content, especially AI content that's going to be running through all these social media profiles. None of that is sticky. Plus, now, and we've tested this winter, almost all of the social media platforms are no longer visible unless you're logged in, which means you're getting no SEO, no backlinks, so none of those links are helping you anymore. So if you're on these platforms, you now have to act as if you're a citizen on that platform. You got to think of it like a nation. So if you're on Facebook, you're acting like a Facebook citizen. If you're on Twitter, you're acting like a Twitter citizen. If you're on LinkedIn, you act like a LinkedIn citizen. So there's no viral tricks. You just need to be consistent. You need to be on brand, and who are you talking to? If you don't have anything to sell yet, then there's nothing that we can do. Now, we can, on certain sides of it, be able to help you with your marketing, be able to get your website up. We can still do those things, but for the digital agency side, we can't be the agency for you if there's nothing to sell. We can still do the web work. We can still get your website up. We can still get you prepared to onboard customers. We can get your funnels and your pipelines in place to be able to get your product going. But until you have a product, we can't be helpful to you. And if you just need the bare minimum, a logo and a bunch of quote posts, which was an idea we had thought was going to work years ago, it does bring you traffic, and we can automate the video side of that, but that's not what this is about. Again, that is good for just brand awareness. We do have things that handle the brand awareness side, but the most important thing is being able to get you a whole plan that we can execute on and we can iterate on. And again, because you have your website, because we're writing content there, we want to get you the long play, because your social media content it goes in and it disappears. So if you're not consistently posting, these platforms are not just because you have followers does not mean they're going to promote you. Followers are not enough. That's over with. TikTok destroyed that, and all the algorithms did the same thing. YouTube is not about how many followers you have, because they can limit the notifications on your channel. They can ghost your numbers. They can make you invisible. And we've seen on some of our entertainment pages where we've posted consistently for 2 weeks, every single day. We've seen the numbers go up. We stop for 1 day and we watch the numbers tank tremendously. Literally go from thousands of views and hundreds of plays on a brand new page that we launched to immediately 0 plays for 2 days, not posting. This is why consistency is paramount now, but it's not enough to just say, I have a message. It's how consistent can that be put out? And that's what we focused on, and that is what you'll see this year from us, is that our engine is in place for us to now schedule the things in and begin the broadcasting. Now we're just scaling up the actual creation side of our media. We won't be 100% as scalable as we want quite yet. We're scaling it in. We're now up to about 5 clientele that we can handle. And that is full, anywhere between 30 to 90-day plans. As we push our own products, because we are our own crash test dummy, so to speak. You can check our FAQs, how fast you see results. We have seen results for our own stuff within days. of consistent posting. What I need from you is fast feedback, any assets that we need to work with, and someone who's going to approve the content. That's you. You must approve the content as fast as possible if we're working to get your numbers up. If you have an internal team, no, we don't replace them. In fact, you can utilize them to get your messaging locked in and then hand it off to us, because we want to run your content like a system. We work on multiple channels, and we do support your SEO, AEO, GEO, whatever O operations that you need. Because this is the transition. And this is from our tests. What I'm giving you, yes, you're like, oh, this is a big ad. No, it's not. We're using this ourselves, and then we've begun positioning it for clientele. But I'm also showing it to y'all to say, this is the positioning. If you are in marketing and you are marketing your own stuff, this is the workload. You're looking at working on 30 days worth of content, 60 days worth of content, 90 days worth of content. How does that scale without destroying your brand and your message? That's what we focused on, and that's what we now have. So what I would like to do is offer that to any of you that are looking for a marketing agency that can actually help scale out your brand. Please contact us, contact me. You can find me, of course, you can contact me through here. You can contact me through the website, which is actually your best bet, is going in and just contacting me through the website for our content engine URL. So if you go up here or from the home page, you can go up here to to digital marketing content engine, or if you come to the home page, the first thing right here is our content engine. Go right down to the bottom and go ahead and fill out and give me the information for the business so I can actually run it through our system. Now, only do this if you're serious, because this is a paid service. So we will be taking honest requests to be able to help your brand and your business. Just let us know what's breaking for you, and we can get on that. So I don't want this to go to an hour. I want to get this out and be able to start locking in on some of you that are entrepreneurs that have been in the tribe for a while and have seen that we've been slowly but surely getting to this point of where I told you you're going to watch us become a media company. This is the portion of the media agency that we've now locked in on, is the digital marketing side. And more clients need this because they've realized that just having a social profile is not it. And ChatGPT, Claude, are using search engines to be able to pull their data because they're not updating if you're using ChatGPT 5, ask it, when was the last updated? And it's going to tell you 2024. As I showed you in the last video. It has not been updated. Why? They don't need to, because they're using the search engine to pull the data in. They don't have to update the model. They just need to optimize how the model handles the data it finds, which is what we're seeing. What we're doing is setting you up for the future, because social is what it is and it's becoming AI slop. If people see your message and then they leave to come to your website, this is to slow them down and pull them in, the ones that actually want to buy your product. It's how do we be a part of the conversations that are happening in social, but then how do we pull them over to where the search engines will find you and where these agentic AI systems can find you. What are you saying? How do you solve their problem? And how do we drive leads so that you can solve their problem? And with that, my name is TrajicK Jeffrey. Please make sure that you like and subscribe, share this with a friend, and I will see you in the next one.